I lost the house. Where the hell did the house go? Oh. Whew. Nearly get lost.
Let's talk about video game development for a second. Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do.
Derp.
So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development. To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well.
No. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games, to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
Again, it's like things that are horror films. Oh, I'm locked in. Oh, okay. This is it. Okay. Okay. Molestation Central. Oh, I'm trapped.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
No.
This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't.
That's weird. I'm starting to think Kota might be some sort of serial killer. If this ends with a double homicide, I'm not going to be surprised.
It's the puzzle again, with the exact same solution as the last time. There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
Please do, Davey. Because I'm scared as shit. Okay. Oh, this is it. They're gonna move.
Here, Coda begins using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
This is weird. Bye, weird box people. Don't touch me. Oh no, there's more of them. What you want?
And so we make one last descent down to the final floor of the level.
Yeah, okay. Council estate. Interesting.
It's a lamppost. Okay,
What
I
a
can't tell you
lamppost?
quite why, but for some reason Coda fixates on this lamppost. It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here on out. I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, and maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long. Because now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something.
So it's like a calling
He
card.
wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination. We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them. And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
April 2009. Nice room. Nuts. We do them all in funny voices.
So first off, I'm sure you can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're going to see have been written by Coda. This was actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person. In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too pushy, trying to get his attention. I was over-enthusiastic. But he was very gracious about it and very patient with me. And I cooled off eventually. Oh, feel free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them. Either way, to me they convey a sense of loneliness. I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played. But it's ironic, isn't it, that in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him. And I have to be honest with you, this idea is really seductive to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing. I could just get to know you through your work. I think this is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world. And then I feel less lonely too.
Econ sales, sure. There is definitely a commentary on that person's personality in here, but Butt ass butt. Hilarious. Did you just call me butt dad? Stuff like recognise me, please. Seems like a bit of a cry for help, to be perfectly honest. No, I'm not going back. Okay, I'm gonna push on a little bit in the interest of time, because there's like a fucking million of these things. Pretty cool painting. I'm starting to think the person who made this has some serious issues.
At the end of this level, we're going to see the puzzle again. And here, I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means. Each of these games represents an idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it. And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one.
Interesting.
In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution, he understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on.
It's interesting.
And because there's this dark area between the doors, a space between spaces, before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. To step back and connect the pieces together. To grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
Didn't expect a note on the other side of the door. Is that a typewriter? Lamppost. Typewriters. This is random. That's really weird. That actually just gave me a shiver. If this is a suicide note, I swear to God. What the fuck?
Okay, this one is tough. It's gonna kind of just spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it.
Okay, this is weird. Why is it called Porn Stars Die Too? That's... That doesn't seem like an appropriate name for a game. There also appears to be some sort of techno beat in the background. I don't know what to do. Can you do anything? Oh, door opened. Nearly had a heart attack again there. That's pretty cool. No, classic Source Engine corridor. Is that?
See, like, this is it. The whole game. And there's nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway. Except, for some reason,
Whoa.
Coda gets really fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture.
The hallway's
And I
disappeared.
don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else. Okay, cool. Here's version 2.
Doesn't seem like the same assets. TV sounds cool. It's not a TV. Huge picture of a horse. That's couches. Live Tesla coils. Yep, let's do that. That's safe. That's just a lamp. There already is a table. Tables were invented in 1935. I'm pretty sure that's not correct. Oh.
There's a bit more to this one, but still, it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just weird for weirdness' sake.
Some sort of furniture labyrinth.
He throws it out and starts over. This time he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
There's a lot of prisons and being trapped. I'm not going to go anywhere around here, am I? What the fuck? That's weird. There's a lot of prisons and being trapped and stuff that I'm...
And of course, now the table is gone and you can't begin the chain of events to escape.
Ah.
Here's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside and the outside is the inside. Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen more. Personally, I think it's awful to watch this, to see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on? But Coda doesn't have that voice telling you to stop. That particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going, and then he hits on something. And he likes it. And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons.